How might your top two lines stack up against the rest of the National Hockey League, do you think?
I think they'll stack up pretty well. I mean, the good news for me is it's not my problem anymore. That's up to Randy. I've done what I could do, but we're pretty happy with our top nine. I think will be pretty competitive, and I think our fourth line will be very hard to play against. So I can tell you our coach is happy with the options that we have right now in a lot of different areas. Options at even strength, options on the PK. He's a mixer and matcher of lines and players, and he's happy with what we've done so far.
You mentioned that Dave Bolland was a Randy-type player. I guess David Clarkson probably fits in that same mold. Have you provided, do you think, Randy with the assets where he's allowed to play that kind of style or coach that style?
Well, I think so. I think, last year we did a good job of having players play outside of their comfort zones and having certain guys do things that didn't come natural to them. It's easier to do that when you have players that relish those roles and that style of play. So I think it's maybe a little bit more of the group that we were looking for. But I also think that there's, again, I don't think that we're finished. This is going to be an ongoing process over the next 12, 24 months to try to put together a team that hopefully has a chance to doing something special.
How did things evolve with Tyler Bozak, Dave? Obviously, you hit the open market today for a brief time. When did you know you'd have him? Did you think you might lose him at any point?
We spoke maybe 2 days ago. We weren't in a position where we thought we were close enough to make a deal. I guess both sides we would have had one. As we got closer to noon today, we had one last call, and we put out an offer that was basically it was the most we could do. And it wasn't, again, it wasn't any disrespect to Tyler, but it was a number that was topped out for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And again, to his credit, I think that Bozy wanted to stay here. And that's what we said all along at the end of the year, and you guys were asking, are you going to get him signed? It comes down to, does the player want to be with your team and in the city, and do you want to extend yourself to the point where you're maybe a little uncomfortable? And we got to that point today. We put a fairly significant offer on the table, and I think if you look at what Tyler probably maybe could have got if he would have waited a little longer, he maybe left some money on the table as well. So to me, that's a deal that benefits both sides.
So when you made the determination that you were buying out Grabovski, you weren't sure at that point that you'd get Bozak?
No, not at all, which made for a very uncomfortable sleep last night. It wasn't. We knew when we did it that there was a risk that we would end up with a lot of cap space, and neither one of these players today.
Did you evaluate then that he was a better fit than Grabovski?
Who's that?
Bozak.
Well, I think just given where he's playing and how Randy uses him, he can easily draw that conclusion. Not that Grab wasn't a great player. It's just for us that Bozy is a better fit, plays more minutes, but it wasn't about Grabo or Bozak. When we made the decision to buy out Grabovski, it still would have had me making the offer we had today, even though we had more cap space if David didn't sign. We felt that was a number that made sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs, regardless of the amount of money we had available.
Do you want to address the blue line at all, Dave, and the reports where you guys were close with Rob Scuderi?
Well, our blue line's basically the same right now as it was in the postseason. Would we look to upgrade or make some changes? Again, I'll give you the same answer I give you all the time. If we can, we will. It's going to be an issue of cap space and where people fit in. It's also going to be a situation where we have some young players that may have a pretty good opportunity of cracking the lineup or becoming the seventh defenseman. So there's time for that. There's no question there's time for us to do that. If something falls in our lap in the next week, we would do it, but I don't expect that to happen.
Are you comfortable going forward with that group then?
Yeah, no, I think our back end is good. I don't think it's necessarily where we need it to be 1 through 7. I think if you look around the league, it stands up fairly well. Again, I thought if we look at how we played in the postseason, that's the group that's coming back, and we do feel there's a couple of players coming that are very close. Whether they're ready to play right now, that's what camp will bring out, and if they are, then those are good problems to have.
Were you in talks at all with Stephen Wise today?
No, we weren't, and we didn't have contact with Stephen at all. we felt that for us that Tyler would be a better fit, both because of we're familiar with him and because of where we're going to be in terms of our cap.
Were you close with Scuderi?
We never actually made an offer to drop Scuderi. We talked to him during the time period, and he came back to us and said that he was going to pursue some teams that were south of the border, a little closer to his house. So it wasn't a situation where we were close. No.
Where are you in your RFAs?
We're still slugging along. That might take a little while. Yeah.
Why do you think you were unable to trade Mikhail Grabovski and get something back, given that he's a pretty good player and now you've had to buy him out?
Well, again, if I was able to trade him, the same reason why I wasn't picked up on waivers, and it's cap space. It's not the player. A lot of people like Grabo. Lots of teams. I'm sure he's going to get signed. There's no question in my mind that he will get signed. But at $5.5 million with the cap dropping, it made it difficult to move him. And he did have, we didn't have the luxury of shopping him to 29 teams. He did have a limited no trade, which shrank that field again. But the biggest reason is the cap. I mean, that's really it. It's not the player. The player's a good player.
With Clarkson, did you ever balk at the term, or was it something that to get one of the big fish on the free agent market, you had to give the 7 years?
Yeah, there wasn't, as much as I think David was wanting to come to Toronto, I'm pretty certain if I tried to go 5 or 6 years that we wouldn't be standing here right now. I mean, I think you have to be able to I was fairly comfortable with Pat telling me that teams were jumping in this afternoon at 7+ years or 7 years and fairly significant money. I didn't think he was trying to lead us on, and if we want to get in on a player like David Clarkson, that was the price tag for us to pay.
Don't technically go that far, but that long with contracts. Is that a bit uncomfortable going 7 years?
Well, it's gonna happen more than once. I mean, you're gonna have 7- and 8-year deals, and they're gonna be for players that you think give you a chance to win, and you make that decision. You make that decision going in. I'm not worried about 6 and 7 right now. I'm worried about 1. And year 1, I know we're going to have a very good player, and I believe that he's got a lot of good years left in him. He's not 35 years old. We never went after an old free agent, and I use the word old. Mature is better. Someone in their mid to late 30s. We've been trying to stick to our game plan of adding pieces that are of a like age. And if you look at Bolin and Clarkson, and even Jonathan Bernier, our team didn't get older in the last couple of months. On average, we probably got younger. And it was a situation where we felt very comfortable that we got a player that's got 7 good years left in him.
How
Numbers
frequent
aren't
is
everything, Dave, but when you see David Clarkson, progressing positively, does that translate to you as well?
Well, and again, I think we know the type of player that we're getting. It's a great mix of skill and character and grit. The style of play that we play here probably is a little bit different than he's used to, and I think that might help him offensively. But if David Clarkson doesn't score 30 goals in a Leaf uniform but provides all the other things that we know he's going to provide, we're pretty comfortable we're a better team.
How frequently do you communicate with Randy throughout this process? Is it like a constant thing?
No. I talked to Randy last night, told him what our game plan was, and I called him after we knew that we had David signed. So it was. Randy's not the most talkative guy anyway, so I didn't need too much time to get through it.
How active do you plan to be now in the coming days or week? Is this sort of it for you, do you think, or?
No, I think it's probably going to slow down for everybody. It's been the case the last 5-6 years where, after the first 24 hours, the second day there's a trickle again, and then it dries up. And I think we'll be active tomorrow in making calls. I would be surprised if we find something that makes sense. If we do, we'll continue adding pieces, and if not, then we'll just wait through the summer to see if there's any other moves we can make. Again, the moves more than likely for us would be via the trade.
Are today's numbers manageable for you as you look ahead to possibly extending Dion and Phil?
Well, there's a lot of things that can happen. We have some money coming off the books next year, both in expiring contracts and in some buyout money that'll be gone. We're all hopeful that revenues continue to grow and the cap goes up. So that question is pretty tough to answer without knowing exactly where we're headed, but we will have some money freed up next summer to make some further decisions.
Do you have an idea, Dave, right now of how much money you want to give under the cap of a cushion when everybody's signed and on the roster?
Well, I'd like to have as much as possible, but it's going to be tight. There's no question. Yeah, I mean it's just when again that $6 million is it's a big hit, and so we're going to have to manage that wisely. No, there's no question about that.
Does re-signing Tyler make it easier to extend Phil at some point?
Well, that's probably a question for Phil, but I would think that I think Phil's pretty happy in Toronto, and he's done very well. I think his game has improved dramatically. Not his offensive game, which has always been good, but his two-way game has improved. So if we can continue to make the group stronger, I think players will continue to want to be here, and that's the environment we're trying to create.
Do you think Phil helped Tyler sign?
I'm sure it didn't hurt. Phil can, I mean, he's got the guy paying rent, so there's got to be someone in there
Now
with him.
especially,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's right now. Now especially, they're close, but they both know it's a business, and at the end of the day, if Tyler had to leave, I'm sure Phil would have understood.
In your conversations with Randy last night, did McHale's comments come up at all?
No.
The 48-hour window to deal with free agents, how handy was that for you? How did that make a difference, do you think, not just for you, but for maybe everybody? Or?
I'm not certain yet, to be honest. I don't know if it made a difference. I think it may have helped a little bit in terms of for players to identify teams that they wanted to look at, but I think teams already know which players that they want to target. But I think that might take a few years to get the wrinkles out on that one, and ultimately give you a better answer probably a year or two from now.
Does the signing of T.J. Brennan an NHL deal for you guys? Are you looking at him maybe with the Marlies or?
No, he's going to get a good chance to stick with the team. He's a good player. He's bounced around a little bit, but we're pretty comfortable with him that if we need to play him, he's not going to be a liability at all. He could be a positive asset for us.